All right, welcome everybody in the VIP group watching later on via my YouTube channel, our different recording. I'm so excited for tonight. Tonight we have with us Heather Eastman. She is a longtime buddy of mine, like all throughout the years, like we passed by each other and it's like, hello, you're amazing. And I've always wanted to pick her mind about different things, especially personal training, nutrition. She is amazing. She's an author. She's done personal training for years and years. She has her own health coaching business and is really just developing her vision and how she is wanting to serve people in the health and wellness field. And so when I share this video, and I'll put it also in the description, how you can get a hold of her through her website, connecting with her via social media and picking her brain, because I'm sure even after this, because we only have a little bit of time here, you'll have plenty of questions. Of course, you will have an opportunity next week as well at Vertical View as we talk more on the movement side, talking about yoga and recovery and personal training and things like that at Vertical View. And it's going to be so much fun. So yeah. And let's see here. So yes, Lorelei, welcome. And so I just wanted to have this really great conversation with Heather and with you all. doTERRA has some amazing nutrition products, and I have kind of a concept of what I'm doing for my nutrition, but there are so many schools of thought out there, and I wanted to have kind of your take. So tell us a little bit more about sort of your background, like how did you come into this health and wellness field?
Absolutely. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here to be able to talk about my passion, which is, fitness, health, nutrition, all of the above. I got into nutrition and fitness kind of accidentally. I was studying at UCLA, and my senior year, I wandered into the athletic center and they had a group exercise class, which I just took, thought it was super fun. And at the end, they said, anyone who wants to become a personal trainer or a certified group exercise leader, we're doing a 9-month-long program through the college. And at the end, you take the certification test, and that's how you become a trainer. And so I thought, well, that's kind of cool, but I can't decide if I want to do trainer or group exercise. So I did both. So instead of 2 nights a week, I had 4 nights a week on top of like finishing up, senior year and all that comes with that. But yeah, the intention was to become a teacher, and I also had some kind of pre-med interest as well. So I took a lot of biology courses, a lot of nutrition courses, and I just fell in love with fitness. I fell in love with moving the body and helping other people move better, helping other people feel better, and just, be able to do all the things they want to do. And that was 16 years ago, and I'm still doing it to this day. So I don't see a world in which I'm not doing some kind of health or fitness related activity.
That is so cool. That sounds a lot like me. Like I can't decide between the two things, so I'll just do both.
I'll just do both.
Yeah.
I'll just do all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Logical. It's logical. Awesome. Okay. So what sort of nutrition coaching do you typically do for people?
So I have evolved over the years. A lot of clients come in wanting very specific, like meal plans, tell me what to eat. And I used to stay up late into the wee hours, typing up very elaborate, very specific, very customized meal plans for everybody. And what I started to find was they weren't getting followed. And so then I made a new rule. I said, you get one meal plan, show me you can follow it, and then you might get another meal plan. And even that was a little hard. So I kind of went back to the drawing board. I was like, okay, meal plans are too hard. And I get it, because it's one, it's one specific plan. It's like having a roadmap to one destination. Well, that's not going to work because there's lots of different ways to get to the destination, right? What if the roads close that day? What if there's traffic? You have to be able to go around and navigate, like life happens, right? So as my coaching evolved, I started evolving to using more guidelines and rules, so if we're going to use the roadmap analogy, it's like, how to make right turns, left turns, head straight, stops, speed up, slow down, things like that. And once I started kind of coaching people on how to create structure and rules with their eating, we started seeing a lot better results, because it's hard to remember to, first of all, you'll get bored eating the same thing over and over again. Or some people will, I don't know, I'll do this, I'll eat everything the same every single day, I don't care. But you'll get bored following just one meal plan. But if you have guidelines, it can fit into anything that's happening in your life. So whether you're on vacation, or it's the holidays, or you're at someone's wedding, you can always kind of use those guidelines to help you make the best decisions in the moment. So that's really how I approach nutrition coaching, because I bet you if I pulled anyone who's watching this and said, hey, just, throw out a healthy meal plan. Like, tell me what you think is healthy. Most people know what to eat. They just don't do it because we haven't really given them enough structure to follow. And frankly, when you get hungry, you're going to reach for whatever's easiest. So that's where I'm at right now, is let's kind of put in the guidelines, and then you can kind of, as long as you're operating in your lane, you can do whatever you want.
So, are there a lot of different guidelines depending on like the person, their goals, their body type, or are there some very general, like, okay, this is kind of one of the golden rule things that is kind of for everybody?
That's a really good question. So you kind of touched on, there's a lot of noise out there when it comes to diet. There's so many different plans you can follow. There's so many different ideologies. Should I go carnivore, keto, paleo, whole foods, Whole30, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian? Should I do intermittent fasting? Should I do fasting every day? There's a lot of different things. And my top recommendations actually have nothing to do with food. My top 3 recommendations are: 1, drink more water. And this is where the medical background comes in. So I train a lot of doctors. I've talked to a lot of, nutrition professionals that have way more degrees than I do. And simply drinking more water, if you were to change nothing else, that would prep your body to lose weight and to feel better and to have more energy. Like, if you're in doubt, drink as just for water. I love it. When in doubt, drink more water. Like, it's something you can add. It's something you can just immediately take control. So the first thing, if someone's coming to me and they're struggling, I say, put a glass of water next to your bed before you go to bed. When you wake up, the first thing you do before you get out of bed, drink that glass of water. So you're rehydrating your brain, you're rehydrating your body after 8 hours of no liquids. And then, from there, do whatever method works for you to drink more water, whether you have to set timers on your phone, whether you have to carry around a gallon jug, but just try to drink more water. So that's number 1. Number 2, and this is a hard one for a lot of people, but it's really, really important. You need to get earlier sleep. So when I was in high school, I was a cross-country runner, and our coach used to drill into us, an hour before midnight is worth 2 after. And I challenge anyone to put that theory to the test, to try, creeping their bedtime up. And even if you get the same amount of sleep or less sleep, if you're going to bed earlier, you're going to get better quality sleep. It's all to do with the hormones. It's all to do with how your body balances and resets while you're sleeping. If you're sleeping too late, like let's say you're going to bed at midnight or 1 a.m. and you're waking up at, even if you get 7 to 8 hours, even if you're waking up at 8 a.m., your cortisol levels are going to stay high, and it's going to make it really challenging to optimize your health, optimize how you feel and your body composition. So that's number 2. And then number 3, and this is where my personal feelings kind of come into play, but the science really backs it up. So that's why I stick to it. Shorten your eating window. Now, it doesn't have to be fasting per se, but if you shorten your eating window, you're going to give your body more time when it's not eating, more time when it's resting, when it's digesting. You don't have to always be eating all the time. My personal preference, and one thing, like as a rule, and this isn't this isn't something I came up with. Oprah was doing this 20 years ago, but basically just don't eat after 7 p.m. You can drink tea, you can do all those things, but you don't need to eat after 7 p.m., especially if you're going to be going to bed at 9 or 10, because you need those 2 hours to digest before you go to sleep. If not, you're not going to have good quality sleep. And we already talked number 2, how important sleep is. Not going to have good quality sleep. And frankly, your body's not going to be focused on doing what it needs to do if it's busy digesting. Your digestive system is huge. And if you're dumping a bunch of food into it before you go to bed, you're not going to do the rest, repair, recovery that your body needs. And that's what sleep is for. So a lot of times we'll talk to clients, even if you're trying to lose weight or build muscle, a lot of that happens while you're sleeping. And so if you're not getting good quality sleep, you're not going to see the results you want to see. So right off the bat, my top 3 nutrition recommendations have nothing to do with food. The coolest part about that is you can follow any meal plan, you can follow any dietary plan, you can have food allergies, and you can still follow those 3 rules. Because I don't know of anyone who's allergic to water, sleep, or eating in a shorter time period. And I think you might be muted. And Lisa, I didn't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Just read my lips, okay?
I was kind of trying to.
So first off, Lorelai says, thank you so much for the tips, exclamation point. Yes, I'm taking all the notes. What are your thoughts on coffee in the AM and collagen and MTC oil in coffee?
Okay, well, I'm currently drinking coffee in the PM. So my thoughts on coffee may differ from a lot of health experts. I don't have a problem with caffeine in the AM or in the PM, frankly. The only thing I would kind of limit as far as caffeine intake is if it does keep you up at night or interfere with your sleep quality, just cutting it off at like maybe 1, 2 p.m., not having any coffee after that. As far as collagen and MCT, which stands for medium chain triglycerides, those are kind of supplemental nutrients that you can add that help enhance your health and well-being. Anytime you're adding some kind of healthy fatty acid, that generally helps with your metabolic or your metabolism. It helps with fatty acid mobilization, those kind of things. So really, like anything that you want to add to your coffee that helps kind of give you that little extra edge, I'm totally okay with. Now, this is a good opportunity for me to give my spiel on supplements, which is supplements, it's in the name. It's meant to supplement what you're already doing. So one word of caution I have when I say, whenever people are like, well, if I just take this or if I just add this, absolutely do it, but don't expect it to do the heavy lifting. Your supplements at most are going to give you that like extra 3 to 5% nudge. And 3 to 5% is not by itself going to get you there. So you're supplementing a healthy diet, a healthy fitness routine, a healthy sleep schedule, and then you're adding that little extra nudge on top of that. So, if you're already doing those things, that little extra nudge can be a game changer. But if you're not doing those things, you can't rely on that to do all the heavy lifting for you.
I was wondering, okay, I know that with collagen versus like a complete protein, for instance, like there's a different percentage of those amino acids. Is there a huge difference in how the body processes and utilizes like a collagen protein versus a whey protein, for instance? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have not specifically done a lot of research on the difference between collagen, whey, comparing those apples to apples. What I will say though is based on studies that have been done, I think the ISSA or ISSN, they've done a lot of studies on just overall protein intake and how that impacts your body composition if you're training, if you're active and you're trying to actively either maintain or build lean muscle, which is when it all kind of boils down to it, whether your goal is lose weight or build muscle, we tend to kind of look at that as a body composition thing, right? You know, you're not going to just lose fat. Usually you're going to put on a little bit of muscle, and you're not going to just gain muscle. You're usually going to have a little bit of fat loss in there too. So what the studies show is that it doesn't necessarily matter the protein source as long as you're getting enough protein. So in a roundabout way, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. I found it interesting, like, oh, it's collagen protein, like 5 different types of collagen protein. And I'm thinking, isn't collagen protein simply a balance of the different amino acids? So if you have 5 different balances, isn't that, I don't know, it seems sort of defeat the purpose, but yeah, so that's encouraging to me that, oh, I don't need to make sure that I have this percentage of collagen protein and this percentage of whey protein and this percentage of plant-based protein, as long as I am getting that protein. And doTERRA came out with, and I think you might have had a chance to kind of check it out a little bit.
I did,
like,
yes.
Since we were talking about that, some of the ones that I use, obviously the doTERRA ones, which we've got the vanilla, the chocolate, and then we have the vegan one as well. And then one that's not doTERRA that I typically use, and I'd like your take on it, is the bulletproof collagen protein. I heard I had it recommended from a good friend of mine who she swears by it and whatnot, which I love mixing into my coffee because it mixes in so well. I will say the doTERRA stuff does not mix into hot water very well. It's a little clumpy. I tried it, did not work out. But you know, the hormone-free aspect, the gluten-free aspect, non-GMO, pasture-fed cows, no synthetics, things like that. Those seem like all good things to be looking for in a protein. What's kind of on your checklist for a good protein? If you're going to supplement a protein, having trouble getting it up, because I hear, I mean, big amounts are recommended in grams wise for proteins. So that's kind of a twofer question. How much protein do you typically, and then what do you like to look for?
That is a twofer. So I'm going to address the second part first, which is, you know, more and more studies are coming out that just kind of say, like, you need protein. And with the way that we eat in the Western world, we tend to be very, very carb heavy. And let me go on record. There's nothing wrong with carbs. Your body loves carbs. It's a fast source of energy. Most of your fiber is going to come from carbohydrates. It's not going to come from protein. It's good. Like, that's where you're finding your insoluble fibers is in grains and, you know, cruciferous vegetables, things like that. But the reason why a protein powder is so valuable, especially if you're trying to make healthier choices, is it's a fast and easy source of protein. It's quick and easy to digest. It's something that you can do in just a couple of minutes. You know, you don't have to wait 20 minutes for your meat to cook. You can just make a protein shake. And especially for the vegetarian vegan community that can't rely on animal products to get their protein, it is a great way to fill in those nutritional gaps. So, you know, that's why nutrition experts are constantly hammering home protein. You will find some outliers who are very pro carbs, but you're going to be hard pressed to find anyone that says no protein. Like you might find people that encourage higher carbs, but your body still needs protein. It still needs those essential amino acids for all the reasons that we talked about before, the repair, the recovery, the lean muscle, all those things. As far as the first part of the question, you know, what do I look for in a good quality protein? You already kind of hit on a lot of the things. Like, I care about where the food I eat come from, you know, generally like organic, non-GMO, things like that. It's both a higher quality, normally it's a higher quality ingredient, and it's generally more sustainable. And those are two things that really matter to me as far as what I'm going to consume. I'd say the type of protein matters to me more than the specific brand of protein. So I don't care for whey protein, just the flavor, like that's not my favorite. So I do gravitate towards the vegetarian and vegan proteins for that reason. I just prefer the texture. Some people are completely opposite. They find it to be a little bit too chalky and it doesn't mix very well. If you want a thicker, kind of creamier texture, you're going to want to go to like a blend protein that has maybe like whey, casein, and egg protein, or whey, casein, and whey protein isolate. That casein protein does have that thicker kind of pudding consistency. So if you like that, it's also a slower digesting protein. So it's great for like, if you know you've got a job where you can't stop and have a snack, it's going to keep you feeling full all day because it takes longer for your body to digest. So I don't necessarily look for a specific brand. I do just look for if it's clean ingredients, you know, if I can read every ingredient on the label and it's a fairly small nutrition label, that's a big plus for me because it means they're not adding a lot of extra stuff. It doesn't take much to make protein. It really doesn't. And then what am I wanting this protein powder to do? Am I wanting to, like you mentioned, mix it into my coffee? In that case, I want something that mixes well. You know, am I just shaking it up with a bit of water and then drinking it as I head out the door? You know, in that case, I want something that mixes well with water. And it's going to have to be like, you think about the situation you're going to use it in, and that will help guide you towards the right protein.
Awesome. So my big takeaway from that was also that last part of it kind of fitting in to your life. Because you can have the best protein, the quote unquote best protein in the world, but if you're not using it, it's not going to do you any good, right? So just looking at my own life, you know, yeah, my protein going into my coffee in the morning, and then at lunchtime, you know, the busy teacher's schedule, right? Being able to just mix that into some water and have that with me. And yeah, being able to have that fast nutrition. Okay. Do we have any other questions regarding protein or from the people that have joined us so far?
And I did want to hit on, so you mentioned how much protein. The general, yes, like a really easy guideline that you could follow is about 1.5 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. If you don't know your lean body mass, that's pretty easy. You can go to a gym. A lot of scales will give you a rough estimate. If you step on it, they'll tell you like your body fat percentage, and basically just take your body fat percentage, and then the opposite of that is your percentage of your weight that's lean body mass. You just multiply that percent by your total body weight, and that will give you your lean body mass. And I'm doing this off of memory, so I might be a little bit off in numbers, but basically that's a general guideline. Let me see if I can get a better.
Did you say 1.5?
Yes, 1.5 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. And that's like a minimum. You can go much higher than that. So that ends up, so like, for example, I have to do math right now. I have to, I'm just going to throw out some numbers. So if I weigh 140 pounds times, and I know that I'm 20% body fat, so 80% of my weight is lean body mass. So I'm going to multiply that 140 by 80%, and that gives me 112. And so I need to be eating about 168 grams of protein a day, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And I think that's on the high end. I think it goes from 0.8 to 1.5. I'm so used to programming for athletes that I go to the high number, but I think 0.08 is the middle. So let me divide that and see if I'm right. Times 0.08. So if I go to so if I go to, it's riveting. I love it. Wait.
I like numbers. I think that's fun.
Okay, so 0.8 is what I meant, not 0.08. So then that's about 90 grams of protein, and that really is a minimum. right? Like that, I wouldn't want to go under 90 grams of protein in a day. Like that's just not getting enough protein. So that gives you an idea. So it's 0.8 grams of protein to about 1.5 grams of protein for lean body mass. And like I said, don't quote me on that. I'm going off of memory. I've just done this for a while. And then, so going back to kind of the idea of supplementation, when you're looking through, when you're looking at adding something to your diet, what I would really urge you to look at is where can I fill holes in my diet? And that's why you'll see a lot of companies creating supplements. Like everybody creates, you know, all the different vitamins because you might be vitamin deficient, or you might just want to make sure you're hedging your bets and getting all the vitamins. As far as nutrition, there are nutritional products that can help fill holes. Like if you know you're not eating enough vegetables, that would be a good option, would be a greens supplement. If you know you're not getting enough healthy fats, a good option would be like an omega-3 or some kind of EFA supplement, essential fatty acid supplement. If you know you're not getting enough fiber, then you can do a fiber supplement. Like anytime you know that you're not getting enough of something, that's the perfect opportunity to plug in a supplement. Do you need all the supplements? Not necessarily. You might be great on one thing and low on the other. So it kind of goes back to the same thing we just talked about with the protein. Take an honest look at your lifestyle and really evaluate, like, what are you doing? What do you know you're capable of doing on a daily basis, and what holes need to be filled? And that's how I approach supplementation. And the nice thing about that is then you can really start to prioritize things. So instead of having to buy hundreds of dollars worth, you can really look at, like, what are the most essentials? Like protein powder is very essential to me because that's a food. That's something you can eat. You know, you need that to keep going. And then after that, it just depends on what your goals are and what holes need to be filled.
Awesome. And so, and since you mentioned it, you know, doTERRA does have their greens and such. And the next time you come over, I'll have you try some. They're really tasty. They don't have any sugar or anything like that in them, so it's nice. And so I do a scoop of my greens in the morning. That's the first thing that I intake after my water. And I remember from like back in the day when I was like juicing things and whatnot, learning about how, you know, if you're going to do any sort of juicing, any sort of wheatgrass, you need to have that on like an empty stomach. And I know this does have a bit of like fiber. It's not just the juice. Like there's a little bit of fiber in it. There's a little bit of even protein in it from some of the other things. But would you say this would be most advantageous on like an empty stomach? A green thing like that? What do you think
That's a
about
really
that?
good question. So I'm going to have to go with the lawyer answer, which is it depends, because it kind of depends on how your body reacts to that. So some people can do a green supplement on an empty stomach and be perfectly fine. Some people, it's a lot to dump in there all at once. And they might feel it. So I would say the short answer to your question is there's no harm that's going to come from having it on an empty stomach. You're not going to hurt yourself doing it on an empty stomach, and you're not going to hurt yourself doing it on a full stomach. So you're free to experiment with either option. In terms of digestibility, I would say that I tend to err on the side of like when I'm taking a supplement, adding food with it, just because I don't necessarily know how my body's going to react. But there are certain things that you definitely like don't want to have together. There are certain things that you do want to have together, like dark leafy greens. You should always try to have a little bit of fat with them, because the vitamins in there, like the vitamins, the vitamin K and whatnot, those are fat soluble vitamins. You need that. Did I say that? I meant potassium. But you need to have fat present to be able to better absorb those vitamins. So it's good to be aware of pairings like that, so you can actually have things together and really get the most out of what you're doing. Because again, you're trying to fill a nutritional hole, and if it's not actually getting absorbed, then you're not really filling that hole.
That makes sense. so fiber, since you mentioned that as well. And another supplement that we do have is the fiber, and which out of all the stuff that because they just released at the beginning of last year, if I recall correctly. And the fiber was probably the biggest surprise for me, to be honest with you. Like, it's so tasty. I had no idea it would be so tasty because it has a nice citrus to it, and with the lemon essential oil. And so like 6 grams of fiber per, it's got soluble and insoluble. And then some of the prebiotics also are in there to help with obviously gut flora. And we learned about how important fiber was for our, cleaning out, not only the cleaning out aspect, but for the health of our gut biome. And so like it says just a little thing on here, and I wonder if you agree with this. It's important for adults to get 28 grams of soluble and insoluble fiber every day. And so this is helping to fill those gaps. In your experience, do you agree with that estimate?
Oh yeah, 100%. Actually, I thought it was higher. I thought it was 35 grams. Fiber's a lot like water in the sense that adding fiber to your diet can also help with weight loss. And the analogy I'm going to use here is, think of a clogged sink. So if your gut is kind of sluggish, stuff's literally not going to move through as quickly. And fiber is what helps things move through. Water helps too. And the two really have to go hand in hand. So if you're going to have a big fiber day, you want to have a big water day, because what you don't want is, you don't want fiber to get stuck in there with no way, like no water to help flush it through. But that said, so fiber literally helps move things along. It literally helps clean out your gut. And then having those prebiotics in there, you mentioned the gut flora, like we actually have a lot of control over how healthy our guts are. And, there's all this talking about things like the gut brain axis and how your body, like everything is connected to your gut, so many things, your emotions, your just general well-being. It goes all the way back to developing embryos. Like literally the same cells that developed into your brain are the same cells that developed into your gut. They are truly connected. It's one connection. So when we talk about like promoting a healthy gut, there's two kind of approaches. One, you want to get all the bad buggies out, like anything that's causing, just maybe it's eating away at the lining of your gut. And that would be something that you would have to actually have a specialist test you for, but that can contribute to like leaky gut syndrome, things like that, is like just having the bad bacteria in there that are literally, tearing away. And then there's also good bacteria. You want good bacteria. That's what helps break down the food. That's what helps move things through a little bit. So you kind of have to make sure you're getting the bad buggies out and the good buggies in. Think of it like a garden. You're removing the weeds and you're planting the flowers. So as long as you're kind of approaching both of those, and that's really what a prebiotic and a probiotic can help do, is it can help feed those flowers and help them grow. And it's helpful to think of flowers because it's gut flora.
I like it. Oh, I had a thought. Oh no, lost it.
That's okay. Yeah, I love that fiber can be shocking, because to me it's such an overlooked part of things. So, again, like I said, it's the clogged sink. If nothing's moving through, good luck hitting your fitness goals. Good luck losing weight, because nothing is moving through. There's literally, when your body burns fat, it has to go somewhere. There's literally nowhere for it to dispose of that if you're not regular, if you're not flowing smoothly. So just like more water, like that's where more fiber, like if someone comes to me and says, well, why should I care about fiber? That's why. That's exactly why. It keeps you healthy.
So when we first got this, I was like, oh yeah, okay, fiber, I need more of it. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Did not turn out very good. The room was a little stinky. I'll just be honest. All right. So, is that not enough water, or just my I needed to ease into it more? A couple of my good friends who has later on shared with me, yeah, Lisa, you probably should have started out a little slower with the fiber supplement. But from what you're saying, probably also I needed to really make sure, double down on my water.
Sorry, my cat just jumped on me and snake his claws into me. Yeah, so there's a couple things that could be going on here. And this is when I do my disclaimer. I am not a GI doctor. I'm not a gut specialist by any means, but a couple of things can be going on with that first initial like bump up in fiber is if all of a sudden things are moving through that hadn't moved through in a while, like going back to that weeds analogy, like all that icky bacteria in there, that gets flushed out and that's got to smell. So that could be part of it. And I shy away from words like detox, but you know, a good way to think of it is like your body's kind of sloughing off some of that stuff that's been in there. And so that might be what you experience the first few times. If it's consistent, then that's when you'd want to talk to a specialist about like what's going on with my bacteria. Like if you notice for weeks on end, that's when it's a problem. But anytime you make a dramatic dietary change, you might experience something that's like, ooh, like where your body's kind of doing a massive reset. And, you know, to some extent that's normal, but if it's an ongoing problem, then that's the only time I would be concerned.
Awesome, thank you. I'll definitely keep that in mind. And this was good for me to remind myself about the fiber supplement that we have, and to make sure that I'm incorporate, because I've incorporated the other things into places that I already have sort of a set routine. And so now I'm thinking, okay, so where can I start adding in that fiber, you know, because I know that I'm not getting enough that I should.
Yeah, one thing I tell clients, because we all want to have like perfect days and perfect weeks when it comes to eating, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. If you have a bad meal or a bad snack, like if you just ate something, you're like, you know what, I should not have gotten to Taco Bell. I should not have had the Burrito Supreme. Go home, make yourself a big bowl of vegetables, whether it's like steamed veggies or like a big salad, but as many vegetables as you can just eat in one sitting, and just fill your body up with vegetables. It's hardly any calories, it's mostly water, and it's a lot of fiber. So you're actually basically just like, you're helping just flush all of that nastiness out of your system so it's gone. And I know it sounds weird to say like eat more after you've already splurged on something, but really it will help so much. The other side of that too is sugar. When you eat fiber, when you're eating a lot of sugar, it actually helps with your insulin sensitivity. So it can help blunt some of that effects of sugar and spiking your blood sugar. So same thing, if you just like went to town on some leftover cookies and just ate the entire plate, go make yourself a big salad, go have a big plate of veggies, because that's going to help you like reset and just not go on this crazy sugar bender. Like it's because once your body has sugar, then it's hyped up like a little kid on Mountain Dew. It's going to want more and more and more and more sugar. So you gotta be the adult and come in and regulate with the vegetables.
Gotcha. And Lorelei says that she likes to mix the fiber with the greens and drink them at the same time. There we go.
I love that. And I love that they
don't have
make it
salad in a pinch, maybe.
Yeah, like I like it when I can combine supplements, because to me that's like, why would I want to do like 5 different drinks if I could just do one big drink, you know? So
Makes
I
sense.
appreciate that they thought about making the flavors go together.
For sure. Let's see. Lorelei, Nicole, do you guys have any other questions? Keep thinking. I just wanted to go over for those people that might be new listening to this, just to kind of share real quickly some of the other options that doTERRA gives for helping fill those nutritional gaps. So really high quality vitamins that are whole food based. We have our the 3-pack is called a Lifelong Vitality Pack. And so it has your whole food multivitamin that is in a protein matrix. So our body recognizes it as food. It has some different digestive enzymes in there as well, as long as a tummy tamer blend, some different essential oils to help our digestive system, like we said, absorb these vitamins and minerals. The alpha CRS is our cellular energy and renewal blend. So this is really great for energy. No caffeine, no stimulants. You've got like the coenzyme Q10 and things like that to help our body produce more energy. And then wonderful like cellular longevity blend. So like you've got resveratrol and stuff like that that are antioxidants. Okay, so super high and wonderful antioxidants to help protect our cells. Okay, so also very anti-inflammatory. And then of course our omegas and we've got different options for our omegas. We've got marine-based and we also have purely plant-based. And these omegas also they use a technology called nanosomal lipid assimilation so that they're actually water soluble. So our body actually absorbs them. And it has 9 different essential oils in there as well, including frankincense, which is an all around like full system support for the body to help our cells function and divide how they should. So really powerful pack there. So that's kind of the foundation. To help us actually break down our nutrition, we've got the TerraZyme. So these digestive enzymes, which have the minerals and things in them to help actually activate the enzymes, because if you're not activating enzymes, it's not really very helpful, right? And then we have the PB Assist. So these are our probiotics. And I have to show you, I'm not sure if you've seen these, Heather. They're so ninja. They're double capsulated. So you've got the little green capsule inside. So the outer capsule actually has the prebiotics, and then the probiotics are in the green capsule. And so the green capsule stays intact until it goes into your intestinal canal. So you have almost 100% proliferation of the probiotics. So really, really handy. Yeah. I just heard back from a gal. Actually, she bought some of these, the TerraZyme, the digestive enzymes, and she called me up. She's like, I have to have more of them. Because she's had such terrible digestive issues, has not been able to really eat much of anything at all for years. And she's, for the first time in years, she's able to eat things again. So I'm like, yay, I'm so happy for her. And then another lady who has she has so many different food sensitivities and things. And her gut flora, probably with leaky gut or something like that, it's so off. And the probiotics, she's like, these are little green miracle pills. And so she's like, Lisa, I had real cheese the other day. I'm like, I'm so happy for you. It was so fun. So, and then we've got just some different, I know I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the detox thing, because that is one of the things that I think is important. And I know we're short on time, and so for another conversation perhaps, but we do have some things to help the body get rid of some of that bad, like our GX Assist, which will help with getting like some of that bad bacteria out of there. So it's mainly colon based, okay, intestine colon based. And then our Zendocrine is actually a 5-organ cleanse. So, but it's also very gentle with these supplements. So we're talking skin, kidneys, liver, lungs, and intestines. So that's some of the other stuff that we have, just to kind of help with that whole process there.
And I did notice a couple questions. I don't know off the top of my head enough about the differences between the types of magnesiums, Laura, but I do know that topical magnesium is an absolutely valid way to absorb magnesium. So if you have a topical spray, definitely do that. So that was the question was, differences between magnesiums. Is topical a good way? Yes, absolutely. Magnesium is fantastic for better quality sleep as well. So I take my magnesium supplements at night because it just helps. Like that's the other thing. Is like, think about when you should take your supplements. You know, for me, multivitamins generally tend to be a little bit harder on my stomach, and I don't eat breakfast necessarily first thing in the morning. So I take my multivitamin at night just because it doesn't give me that icky tummy feeling. But you want to think about like the best time to take things. And then one thing you touched on, yeah, I'd absolutely love to have a full like 2 hours to talk about detoxes. But what's really cool about essential oils and supplements is, you know, I get asked all the time, well, can I just eat food and get the same thing? Yeah, you can get these things from foods, technically. The problem is to get them in the doses that are actually beneficial to your body, you'd have to eat so much of the foods, and it's not really feasible anymore. It's just not going to happen. So what you get when you're going with an oil or a capsule or a supplement is you're getting all of that nutrition, like all of the good stuff that you need from that plant or that whatever that is, and you're actually getting it in the right dosage. So when people come to me and say, no, I don't want to do supplements, I just want to get it from food. It's like, okay, well, you're going to have to eat a lot more food, and I don't think that you're going to like it. So yeah, that's kind of my, it's kind of tangentially related to detoxes, but you know, like there are herbs and there are natural things that you can use, that you can consume, like, you know, lemon, things like that to help with detox. But when you're taking it in a form that's like a capsule, again, it goes to that, like, it's convenient, it's easier, it fits in with your lifestyle better.
Shayna, welcome. Do you have any questions for Heather? I know you hopped on. So Heather, personal trainer, nutrition coach, health coach, author, all the things. If you have any pressing questions on nutrition and whatnot, this is your chance. And then I'm going to circle back to our original 3 things, because I have the original 3 tips, because I have a couple of thoughts on that.
I always feel like there should be the Jeopardy music playing when we say, does anyone have questions?
Oh, I know, right?
So yeah, and I didn't get your take on it. Tell me your thoughts.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so Shayna just said that she's been taking her vitamins and they've been working amazing. So she just got some like last Sunday. And yay. And even during the hustle and bustle of moving and everything, I'm so proud of you. Wow. Great job. And I'm so glad that you're loving them. Yay. So you know, like we talked about with having them a part of your top 3 tips that I got from you, of drinking more water, get earlier sleep, and then shorten your eating window.
Yes.
And so with drinking more water, the first thought of mine was, okay, my essential oils in my water, right? We've got our citruses and things as well. So we're boosting their immune system. We're doing a little, and it smells wonderful and it adds a little bit of flavor in it. So then that can be a part of our routine with that. And then getting earlier sleep. Again, I'm thinking, oh, okay, so having a routine with some oils by my bedside table that I can put on at night to make sure that it's like, okay, brain, it's time, right? It's time to then develop that habit and things. And we've got so many different essential oils for that, from lavender to Roman chamomile, the Serenity blend. We have some capsules and such too that are fantastic. And then with shortening your eating window, again, maybe having, like you mentioned, with some of those different teas or coffee. And I think, Lorelai, I think it was Sarah that posted recently using cinnamon and the vanilla essential oil in her coffee that she was making it with. And she said it was absolutely divine. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah. So we can have fun with this, right? I love that you're adding things to it. And yes. I hadn't heard, did you say, was it your cross country coach that told you an hour before midnight is worth 2 hours after?
Yes, absolutely. And I have tested that. I have had very rough weeks where I just wanted to go to bed at 6 p.m. And then I was like, well, shoot, I was planning on getting work done. So I've woken up at like 3 or 4 a.m. to do work, and I feel completely rested. And again, it's that just shifting that sleep window to earlier makes all the difference in the world. And by that same token, and I'm sure many people listening to this can relate to this side of it, is you go to bed at 1 a.m. and even if you sleep until 9 or 10, you still don't feel good. Like it feels like you didn't get any sleep. And it's because we are meant to sleep on that circadian rhythm. We are really meant to sleep, get to bed before midnight. So yeah, and that's another reason why I don't encourage eating late at night. You're not trying to power up, you're trying to power down. So like if people say, well, I get so hungry at night, it's like, yeah, because like you're awake still, you're stimulating your brain with, a screen, whether it's your phone or your computer or your TV. And so your brain says, okay, if we're going to be awake, I want food so I can be awake. And what you really should do is listen to those natural signals. If you're getting tired and hungry, go to sleep. And if you're hungry, drink some hot tea, just put something in your belly to kind of help soothe that a little bit. I promise you, hunger comes in waves. And if you can kind of just ride that little mini wave out, it'll go away.
I was just thinking that of possibly the body misinterpreting thirsty for hunger.
Mm-hmm. It does. And that's why rule number 1 is drink more water. Cause like that knocks out so many pins right there. Cause oftentimes we're going for food when really we should be going for water. Like we're not hungry, we're thirsty, And so if you're drinking more water, you're not going to be eating when you should be drinking. If you're drinking more water, you're hydrating your brain, every cell in your body. You're making it easier for your body to do things. You're making it easier for your system to digest and clean itself out and all that stuff. Like everything builds off of drinking more water.
Awesome. Okay, so we could just talk for hours and hours and hours, and we've like doubled our time, but I don't care. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Just real quick, any other questions? I mean, we have next Tuesday as well at Vertical View that we can chat. And yeah, peppermint tea at night is fantastic. Yeah. Talk about just like doing wonderful things for the digestive system. And a splash of vanilla in the almond. Ooh, yes. And it's real Madagascar vanilla too. Like this is not fake. Yeah. And Shayna, you were saying about being gluten intolerant. All of our proteins and things like that, it's all gluten-free. So you can be confident in that. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much once again. And thank you all for joining in. I'm going to stop the live and
Thanks
everything.
for having me. Thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you so much. Take care. Take care. Stop the live stream.
All right.
Record.